Is the internet computer cooked already? The reason why I even want to mention this is because some people have been asking me this. The reason why is because very recently, XAI, they announced something called Grok Build. Now, this has got a lot of people kind of concerned because they think it's somewhat directly competing with one of the flagship products of Dfinity, which is of course called Caffeine AI. Some people out there are kind of afraid that this is going to make Caffeine AI obsolete. But I don't necessarily think so. And let me explain why in today's video, even though nothing I say is financial advice, and even though I am not telling anyone to do anything. But first of all, we have to take a look at why this is even a major concern anyways. Well, it's because if we take a look at Caffeine AI, what is it, right? It's a self-writing apps platform. Now, if we take a look at Grok Build, allegedly, it's this AI assistant for writing code, building apps, and automating workflows and stuff like that. So naturally, people see the term, oh wow, it could be used for building apps. When it comes to Grok Build, they think, isn't that going to make, something like Caffeine AI obsolete? I don't necessarily think so. The reason why is because if we take a look at Caffeine AI, it's more so built for the, I guess, everyday consumer, in a sense where I could use Caffeine AI without knowing any code, and I could just be like, oh, try to make an app that, let's say, organizes all my tasks. I could try to do that, or create that, I should say, through Caffeine AI. But when it comes to Grok Build, it's more so a little bit more advanced. It's more so kind of, I think, geared towards someone who already has kind of a background in terms of coding. Maybe they already know a couple of programming languages. It's kind of more so meant like that. So it's a bit of a different targeted consumer base, in my opinion. Caffeine AI is more so for like the everyday user. It's more geared towards really kind of the retail side of things. However, when it comes to Grok Build, it seems like it's more so targeted for kind of professionals and people who are more serious about coding and stuff like that. So it's a different market segment. It's like, for instance, sure, is there a Toyota? Yeah, there is, but there's also a Ferrari. It's a different use case, in my opinion. It's not necessarily the same. So it's not like a Ferrari is going to make a Toyota obsolete or vice versa. That doesn't seem to be the case. They both have their own segment. So it's not a concern for me seeing this. I get it. People like to say, wow, Dfinity, they spent around $500 million. I'm not joking, by the way. That's allegedly the case. Again, they spent $500 million approximately on research and development. And they say if they have something like Caffeine AI, there's already version 3, and XAI releases something like Grok Build, isn't that going to make it obsolete? Again, I just don't think so. It's a different targeted consumer base, in my opinion. When it comes to Caffeine AI, it's kind of like, let's say I buy fast food, right? I go to McDonald's, I get it, it's done, it's kind of prepared. It's a little bit more, I guess, convenient for me. But when it comes to Grok Build, it feels like it's those barbecue restaurants where you have to cook the stuff yourself, like a Japanese barbecue or something like that, where you have to cook it yourself. It's kind of like that. Sure, they bring it out of the kitchen and they bring the ingredients, but you still kind of have to do it yourself, right? You kind of have to cook it and whatnot. So it's a bit of a different, again, vibe, if that makes sense. So Dfinity, I don't think one of their flagship products, in this case, Caffeine AI, I don't think it's going to become obsolete. That's just personally for me. And even if, let's say, someone else made a direct competitor when it comes to Caffeine AI, it's pretty difficult to make it just obsolete like that because people oftentimes like options and they're naturally going to choose the ones that they're more comfortable with, the ones that they find more easy to use. So again, competition is fine, but again, if I just compare it directly in the case of Grok Build and I contrast that with Caffeine AI, I don't think they're necessarily competing in a sense because it's a different consumer base. So yes, a lot of people have been telling me, oh, is there a computer cooked already? No, I don't really think so. And again, I just basically explain why. But even despite all that, people like to tell me that, okay, but when it comes to Dfinity, what are they doing that's really so special as of late? Well, they already kind of done Caffeine AI. There's already version 3. I don't see any reason for them to focus on more versions as of right now. It's already pretty good as is. But when it comes to their major focus as of right now, it seems to be the cloud market. And they're trying to revolutionize that market through something called cloud engines. We don't really know what it could be yet though, because it hasn't like fully, been operational, so we don't really know what it could really do. But one thing we do know, though, is that the cloud market is worth around $1 trillion currently. So yes, people like to say, oh, cloud engines, they're not proven yet. True, it's not proven at all, actually, as of right now in the grand scheme of things, in terms of mass adoption or whatever. But once it actually becomes fully hypothetically up and running, then we can start evaluating it, right? But even then, it may still take quite a while for it to see any sort of mass adoption, maybe. But at least the idea and kind of the narrative is there. Imagine this. If, let's say, during an altcoin season, hypothetically, if we do ever even see one, but just assuming there is one, imagine if the narrative that formed at the time was projects that are focused on the cloud market. Could you imagine that? Guess who's waiting right there? It's none other than the internet computer, because not too many projects out there are focused on the cloud market as of right now. It's viewed as boring, but if we think about it, the cloud market is worth around $1 trillion. It's like, for instance, when people take a look at Skechers, they don't typically think about it as something being so massive. But if we think about it, Skechers, I oftentimes see it top 5, top 10 in terms of shoe brands. So again, people like to say, oh, no one cares about the cloud market. But it kind of gives me a Skechers type of vibe. People don't really consider this, but Skechers, a lot of people who are nurses, a lot of people who are doctors, they're using Skechers because people find them very comfortable. A lot of my friends use it, especially my friends who are nurses, police officers, doctors, and stuff like that. So the cloud market, again, people kind of view it boring, but it's actually pretty massive. Again, the cloud market currently is worth around $1 trillion. So Dfinity being heavily focused on that, it's a big thumbs up for me, and it showcases that they have this forward-thinking mindset. Dfinity is also heavily focused on AI, through Caffeine AI, and also the internet computer has an aspect of decentralized AI. So that's another aspect that they're focused on. So Dfinity, they are not a one-trick pony. They have a lot of aspects that they're focused on, but what I like about them is that when they're focused on a certain aspect, they are really sort of dialed in. Like, they really want to focus on that. They're not trying to do it for fun or anything like that. No, they're actually putting their full effort. So I do like seeing that. And keep in mind, Pierre, who is the chief business officer of Dfinity, he recently was invited to the United Nations Development Program Blockchain Advisory Group in terms of the conference. I mean, the United Nations is really massive. It's really popular. And Pierre, he could give his input. He could talk about the internet computer. He could talk about Dfinity. So again, that's just pretty impressive. So yeah, I mean, ICP is below $3, below $2.50, but there's a lot more that's going on behind the scenes. I think sometimes people don't really consider that. They're always like, oh, ICP is so low and it's doing so bad and all this type of stuff. But behind the scenes, Dfinity, they're still doing things. But nonetheless, I don't mind the dip anyways. I actually like the dip. And also on top of that, when I take a look at Dfinity overall, I still like what they're doing. I mean, the price isn't doing the best when it comes to the internet computer, but I'm willing to wait anyways. And I'll be sure to make more updates moving forward. So I want to say thank you so much for watching, and I hope you all have a very nice day. It's been Lee the Captain. I'm out. Peace. Bye.